It's a beautiful thing to sing about the grace of our Lord. And oh, how we need it. It should amaze us every day. I hope it's a pool that you swim in each day to know how much you are loved, you are cherished, that you are the apple of the Father's eye. So today is Mother's Day, and we're grateful for that. My mother passed away in 2013. Every year at Mother's Day, I think about her. Sometimes I think about her good cooking, of which helped create the man I am today. And remember those recipes that only she could make. And I also remember my mother, without really working hard at this, always had a bunch of corny sayings that she would say. You know, you have to get up before daybreak to fool me. I don't know where she got that one. If I'd ever praised myself in any way, she'd say, "Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back." And kept me humble. So grateful for all the many things that Mom brought to my own life. But Mother's Day is a unique day. When I first entered ministry, I wasn't the senior pastor at the church I was serving, but I remember when Mother's Day came around, the pastor said, "Oh, it's such a hard day because there's so many emotions that go on in Mother's Day and Father's Day as well." And I said, "Well, what emotions?" I was just thinking that it was all happy, and I was reminded that it's not always happy. Some are happy on Mother's Day, some are sad. Because sometimes there's mothers who are not mothers yet, and they're longing to be mothers, and it becomes a sad day for them because they're reminded of many children that are praising and honoring their mothers, and they are childless. There are some that are angry because their experience with their mothers was not pleasant, and therefore even in this time, sometimes people aren't even able to come to church because they're harboring resentments at their own mothers. Some are hurting, some are grieving because perhaps in the last year, maybe even recently, they lost their mother, and their mother's not going to be around that table today. Those are all difficult things, and they're very real. Every one of those emotions is real, and I want to acknowledge those, and I want you to know that that does mean something to me. And the statement that I'm about to say, it doesn't minimize any of those emotions. But folks, we know in our own walk with the Lord, when the focus comes on us, we do get out of whack. Because when the focus is on us, we don't dwell on the grace that we just sang about, that deep, that wide, that long grace. And so today, as we look into the scriptures at a lady named Hannah, and she became a godly mother, but she had so many things that were stacked up against her, so many emotions that could have made her mad, that could have made her just frustrated and hurting. And what we will see in Hannah's story, a very real, true story, is she only had one place to bring her focus, and that was to God. And it probably at the time didn't happen in Hannah's timing that she thought might be best. But that's what God did. And so we're going to look at Hannah, and we're going to look in 1 Samuel 1 and chapter 2. This is a story again that we're going to read. We're not going to read it all right now. We're going to read a little bit now and a little bit near the end of the message. But it's a story, and so as we read through the story, again, I want you to picture as good as you can in your imagination what's going on here, because these are real characters. This is a drama that's unfolding before our eyes. It's in a much different context. Of course, it's way back in the Old Testament. So if you could just kind of imagine what these things would have looked like. But we're going to read beginning at 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. There was a man from Ramathaim, Zophim, in the hill country of Ephraim. His name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. So folks, needless to say, we're in an older time, because when you introduced yourself, you had to tell your father, grandfather, great-grandfather, etc., and so on. And I'm sure that not one person in this room has any ancestry in your family tree named Zuph. Verse 2, he had 2 wives, the first named Hannah and the second Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah was childless. This man would go from his town every year to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of armies at Shiloh, where Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were the Lord's priests. However, Elkanah offered a sacrifice. He always gave portions of the meat to his wife Peninnah and to each of her sons and daughters. But he gave a double portion to Hannah, for he loved her even though the Lord had kept her from conceiving. Her rival would taunt her severely just to provoke her, because the Lord had kept Hannah from conceiving. Year after year, when she went up to the Lord's house, her rival taunted her in this way. Hannah would weep and would not eat. "Hannah, why are you crying?" her husband Elkanah would ask. "Why won't you eat? Why are you troubled? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? On one occasion, Hannah got up after they ate and drank at Shiloh. The priest Eli was sitting on a chair by the doorpost of the Lord's temple. Deeply hurt, Hannah prayed to the Lord and wept with many tears. Making a vow, she pleaded, "Lord of armies, if you will take notice of your servant's affliction, remember and not forget me, and give your servant a son. I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and his hair will never be cut." While she continued praying in the Lord's presence, Eli watched her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, and though her lips were moving, her voice could not be heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, "How long are you going to be drunk? Get rid of your wine." "No, my lord," Hannah replied. "I am a woman with a broken heart. I haven't had any wine or beer. I've been pouring out my heart before the Lord. Don't think of me as a wicked woman. I've been praying from the depth of my anguish and resentment." Eli responded, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant the request you've made of him." "May your servant find favor with you," she replied. Then Hannah went on her way, and she ate and no longer looked despondent. The next morning, Elkanah and Hannah got up early to worship before the Lord. Afterward, they returned home to Ramah. Then Elkanah was intimate with his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. After some time, Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, because she said, "I requested him from the Lord." When Elkanah and all his household went up to make the annual sacrifice and his vow offering to the Lord, Hannah did not go, and explained to her husband, "After the child is weaned, I'll take him to appear in the Lord's presence and to stay there permanently." Her husband Elkanah replied, "Do what you think is best, and stay here until you've weaned him. May the Lord confirm your word." So Hannah stayed there and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him with her to Shiloh, as well as a 3-year-old bull, half a bushel of flour, and a clay jar of wine. Though the boy was still young, she took him to the Lord's house at Shiloh. Then they slaughtered the bull and brought the boy to Eli. "Please, my lord," she said, "as surely as you live, my lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this boy, and since the Lord gave me what I asked him for, I now give the boy to the Lord. For as long as he lives, he is given to the Lord." Then he worshiped the Lord there. People of God, this is the word of God. Wow. It's quite a story. And Hannah, this lady, she obviously had a broken heart. And life's challenges for us can oftentimes bring us to that place where we have a broken heart. and things seem to be very empty. Things seem to be very hopeless. Getting up is difficult in the morning. Facing the people that are our family and those people that we love sometimes can be very trying. But we see her character traits coming through very quickly in the story. It didn't mean that she was like Madam Positive or going around laughing with this cheerful disposition. No, she was very sad. Her tears showed that. But she had a lot of choices that she could have made, and she chose, in this case, not to quote an old phrase, but to become better and not bitter. She was humble through this, and she would ultimately look to the Lord and pour out her heart to the Lord. Well, what was the context that Hannah was living in? This was a context in the Bible. You know, 1st and 2nd Samuel, they come right after the Judges. It was a period of the ups and downs of God's people. You know, what would happen is they would fall into sin and things would get very bad. They would forget what they were supposed to do and forget the rules that God had placed for them to follow, commandments that were there because He loved them. And so they would sink down, and then what God would do is He'd allow an enemy to come in and strike them down and make life very difficult for them. And then what would they do? They would cry out to the Lord. And they would say, no, make it stop, we're sorry, we'll never do it again. And then, of course, God would restore them to the place that they were before. And things would go good for a while, and it continued up and down, up and down. So here is Hannah living in a time of a lot of people behaving badly and the ups and downs of God's people. And she was also living with a husband who was behaving badly. And she was also, when she went up to Shiloh, and Shiloh was this place where God's people would worship. So when they took over the land of Canaan that God had promised, they had to put the tabernacle that had been moving around with them ever since it was built, and so they put it at Shiloh. And so Shiloh became the place where yearly they would go up and make the sacrifices. And sometimes the priests that were there in charge of things were very godly priests, doing things as the Lord had asked them to do, and then sometimes they weren't doing so well. And you can only imagine what an abomination that was to the Lord when the very priests that were to oversee this meeting place, this sacred place in Israel's life, were not behaving properly. And so this is the context of which Hannah was living in. But there was something in her that desired to be godly and to remain focused on the Lord. So what happens when everyone else is having children and you aren't? Folks, it's painful today for many women who are in that state, but in that era, it was particularly significant. And we see that in different spots in the Bible. A woman's very worth was tied to her ability to have children. And when you weren't able to have children, for whatever reason that was, there was value that went down in you. And of course, the woman had really no control over that whatsoever. A matter of fact, in verse 5 of what we read this morning, it actually says that the Lord kept her from conceiving. See, the Lord is in charge of this. It's obvious that her husband, Elkanah, loved Hannah. Hannah was most likely his first wife. Certainly the text would indicate that. And he loved her, his first love. He's married to her, but something's not happening. And the something that's not happening is she is not bearing a child. So what Elkanah chose to do, he took another wife for that purpose. He continued to love Hannah, the text says that, but make no mistake, when your self-worth is tied to having children, you couldn't. So your husband says, I'm going to take another wife, and he goes over to this other woman. The fact that he still loved his first wife, I just can't believe Hannah would turn and say, okay, sounds good to me. It was devastating to her. It had to break her heart even more because now he was with another woman. Now she was having children. There was rejoicing. Her value was way high, and he'd come over to Hannah and say, I still love you. It's difficult to even imagine the emotional depth that Hannah was in. Well, what happens when you have a husband who is harboring sin? And you say, well, Pastor Bob, where is he harboring sin? When did that come out? See, it seemed like Elkanah was a really good man. I mean, every year the Bible says that he would go up to Shiloh and he'd make the appropriate sacrifices, so it sounds like he was practicing the religion the way he was supposed to practice it. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but he had 2 wives. Now, it's interesting when we talk about polygamy in the Old Testament, some people are under the wrong impression that that was okay. That it was okay. Well, since so many seem to have more than one wife, it must have been okay. God never, ever, ever blesses polygamy. He blesses from Genesis to Revelation monogamy, 1 man, 1 woman. That's the design. That's what it's always been. Polygamy is never accepted. Because what happened is Elkanah decided, since he wasn't getting what he wanted from this woman, he decided to get what he wanted from another woman. Does that sound selfish? Does that even sound like sometimes that those attitudes can invade marriages today? When I don't get what I want from this person, then I'm going to go over to this person. Interesting. Polygamy is never acceptable. And when we see polygamy in the Old Testament, there are actually people out there that would say, well, because that seems to be accepted in the Old Testament, then whatever sexual sin or marriage practice that we want to do today must be acceptable today. And that is absolutely a lie and doesn't come from Scripture. Look what having a second wife did to Hannah. It devastated her. It brought her down even further than where she already was. And what happens when sins like this start happening in a family, they begin to multiply. So we've got another wife that's badgering her, no doubt what the other family members did. But here's something I'd like you to remember about this particular situation. You know, whenever we go somewhere else to get our provision, and we don't go to God, that's idolatry. So when Elkanah couldn't get what he wanted from his wife, so he went and got another wife, what he was saying, I don't trust you, God, on this one. I'm going to have to solve this one myself, so I'm going to get another wife. Well, that other wife immediately becomes the idol. So idolatry is being practiced in this very family because Elkanah didn't trust the Lord. The Lord had given him Hannah, and that was to be enough. Elkanah did nothing to eradicate the problems going on in the family. He did nothing. Can you imagine? If he loved her so much, why did he allow her to taunt her? Why did he allow that to go on? He was not being the father. He was not being the husband that he was called to be. And so this family was spiraling down. And then what happens when you do have a taunting rival like Hannah had? I can't even begin to imagine what this would look like. There was Peninnah regularly pointing out, oh, Hannah, how are you, one who never had children? Oh, Hannah, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have to make any plans for your children today because, oh, you don't have any children. I can't begin to imagine the taunts. And then as children hear the taunts of their mother going to this, that they would taunt her too. It had to be completely devastating. You know, remember, some of you remember this story when you go back to the book of Genesis and we talk about Sarah and we talk about Abraham. Of course, God made them a promise. You old people are going to have a child. And yet time went on. God wants them to trust him. They're not trusting him. So one day Sarah says, okay, listen, I'm not getting any younger. Just go take that one of the servants here and go have a baby with her. So Abraham said, all right, that's what I'll do. And so, of course, they did have a baby. And they had a baby and they named him Ishmael. Was it ever right? It was never right that they did that. And then, of course, that baby grew up, and the mother, and they're in the same house. What did they start doing towards Sarah? They started taunting her because it took 13 more years for her to have Isaac. And of course, that all ended tremendously badly, especially for Hagar and Ishmael. Abraham did not trust God the way he was called to trust God. So here we have Hannah, and her worth is in question in the society that she lives in. No children. And she had a husband who was harboring unrepented sin. She had to deal with this rival, Peninnah. It was in a bad state. How painful it must have been when she walked up that yearly walk to Shiloh to make the sacrifices. And Hannah would see all the children bustling through. You could just imagine this caravan of people going up to Shiloh. She would have no legacy without children. And in the midst of all this pain, so they're there, the sacrifice has been made, she's going to eat the meat just like others do, and the Bible says that Hannah was so loved by Elkanah that she got a double portion, and there was Hannah, and she wasn't eating. And one of the dumbest questions you can come up with, probably, in this whole story, is Elkanah turns to her and says, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I would be afraid to ask this to you ladies this morning, but has your husband ever had an adventure in missing the point? In not understanding the obvious of what was going on? The fact that Elkanah didn't understand why she was kind of sulking in this bad spot that she was in is amazing. Don't you know that I love you and I treat you better than even 10 sons? Well, that was doing nothing for Hannah at all. Hannah could have thought very cynically, she didn't, yeah, I could see how much you love me and I could see how much you treat me. That's why you got another wife. That's why you had children with another lady rather than me. So, what does Hannah do? Does she get mad? Does she get even? No. She goes and she prays and she pours out her heart. Anybody who's experienced agonizing grief knows this. Grief is lonely. And so here is Hannah just engulfed in this grief, in this setting that's celebrative, in this setting that's all wonderful to so many, and she is in this bubble of grief, trying to hold on. So what does she do? She goes over and she is going to pray. She went to her Father in heaven. So we meet the challenges of life in a heart that longs for God. That's what Hannah did. So as Hannah's greatest challenge in life was there, make no mistake that her heart was longing for her Savior. She had no one else to go to for the answers. It was God. And so she approached the Lord with a broken heart. And that, I believe, folks, is where the Lord not only receives us, but He will pour into us and love us and fill us just like we need. And so then there's this guy by the name of Eli, who is not particularly known for his fathering skills or even his priestly skills as well. So as Hannah enters into this place to pray, there's Eli, the high priest that's there. He should have been impressed or at least noticed her devotion. He should have been inspired by her steadfastness in prayer and the posture that she was taking to cry out to the Lord. But what did he do? He looked at her and basically said, "Are you drunk?" Because she didn't pray like he would have expected her to pray. How did Hannah find her strength? She found it in the Lord. She found it in the Lord. And so she was there praying. And yes, words weren't coming out as typical, just like you can pray without having words come out. And she was crying out, what do you do when you're afflicted? What do you do when you feel lonely? What do you do when you're filled with anxiety? Hannah's answer to this was to pray. She was looking for a breakthrough. And what happened? What happened after this encounter in prayer? We never know when it's going to happen, folks, but she kept praying. Well, there was a breakthrough. And the scriptures say that she gave birth to Samuel. And what does Samuel mean? It literally means heard of God. And did she trust God or what? So in the midst of all of this, so she's got a family at home that's been very dysfunctional. That child is going to be born into this family. And then she's got this priesthood now with Eli and his two sons, of which couldn't have had a good reputation there. But she says to the Lord, Lord, if you give me this child, I'm going to dedicate this child to you. Basically meaning I'm going to bring him up here to this place, and he's going to live there from the moment that he's weaned. Now that's trusting God. Because see, none of the earthly circumstances looked right for that. That's trusting God. Hey, parents, you know this. Sometimes your kids, they actually believe what we've been preaching all these years. And they say, hey, I'm going to go off and do a missions, not trip, but experience. And I'm going to go to the other parts of the world. And they think, oh, that's not safe. That's probably not a good place for you to go. Why don't you get your master's degree? And what that is all about is parents not trusting the Lord. And so here is Hannah trusting the Lord, releasing her son right into the Lord's hands, trusting that God will take care of Samuel, even though he's going to a place that doesn't have a great reputation. The son she longed for so long, she's giving right back to God. And then what we have in chapter 2 is a beautiful, beautiful, it's a song. And it's Hannah's song. And because she had a grateful heart. Maybe you remember in the New Testament, after it was communicated to Mary that she was going to give birth to Jesus, and this news kind of overwhelmed her. And so when you look in the scriptures, probably the heading on that area is Mary's song, sometimes called the Magnificat. Well, this could be called Hannah's song or Magnificat from the Old Testament. So let me read these verses here. They're very self-explanatory. I'm not going to make many comments. But listen, in the midst of her turmoil, she turns to God, and this is the result. Hannah prayed, my heart rejoices in the Lord. My horn is lifted up by the Lord. My mouth boasts over my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There is no one holy like the Lord. There is no one besides you, and there is no rock like our God. Do not boast so proudly or let arrogant words come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and actions are weighed by him. The bows of the warriors are broken, but the feeble are clothed with strength. Those who are full hire themselves out for food, but those who are starving hunger no more. The woman who is childish gives birth to 7, but the woman with many sons pines away. The Lord brings death and gives life. He sends some down to Sheol, and he raises others up. The Lord brings poverty and gives wealth. He humbles and he exalts. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the trash heap. He seats them with noblemen and gives them a throne of honor. For the foundations of the earth are the Lord's. He has set the world on them. He guards the steps of his faithful ones, but the wicked perish in darkness, for a person does not prevail by his own strength. Those who oppose the Lord will be shattered. He will thunder in the heavens against them. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give power to his king. He will lift up the horn of his anointed. Elkanah went home to Ramah, but the boy served the Lord in the presence of the priest Eli. trusting the Lord when it doesn't seem to make sense. What we see here is that God is the creator of children, and he gave Hannah children. She was a strong woman, and when she told Elkanah that this would be what needs to happen with Samuel, Elkanah said, I trust you, go ahead and do that. And then at about age 5, that's when Samuel was left in the hands of Eli at Shiloh. She did this because she was a godly woman. She did this because she trusted God. Every year she would go up there, and we know this from when we were in Sunday school as kids, she would bring a little coat to her son Samuel. And you know what? What happens, folks, is this: rejoicing when your mourning turns into dancing. And that's what happened to her. Hannah became a woman of great joy. She gives God all the glory for giving her a son, but what he also does for everyone else when he talked about knowledge and justice and power and salvation. So ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a message just for ladies, but ladies in particular, may you have that spirit that Hannah had. That spirit of humility, that spirit that kneels down and prays in your time of anguish when things aren't going the way that you desire. Because I believe that when we look at godly mothers in the Scripture, Hannah sets a tremendous pattern. In all of her brokenness, she found all that she needed in her Lord. And that's the design for us, to find all that we need in the Lord, that the Lord is all satisfying. We don't have to continue to look for other idols to fulfill that which we think we haven't gotten. That's what Hannah did. This is how God blessed her. Praise be to the Lord. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this story of Hannah. Lord, we look forward to seeing Hannah in heaven one day, and to see this humble woman who gave all the praise, all the glory, all the adoration to her Abba Father. And so, Lord, wherever our moms are at this day, no matter where their emotions are, happy, sad, angry, whatever, Lord, I pray that the mothers that are within the sound of my voice would find themselves in prayer, crying out to you, dependent upon you. And Lord, we know that your grace will shine through them in remarkable ways to their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. And what greater legacy can any woman have in this room than to have God's grace shine through them onto others? We give ourselves to you in Christ's name. Amen.